welcome to the Uncreative Crafter. My name is Jen and I'm your host. Today is Sunday, December 13th, 2015, and this is episode 22. It is an unseasonably warm weather day. Ozzy, I just started recording. You gonna come on up? Come here. Come in. Come keep me company. This will work really well. Never mind. Don't keep me company. Hi, my name is Jen, and welcome to the Uncreative Crafter. This is episode 22. Today is Sunday, December... Jesus Christ. I'm gonna kill you. Hey, get out of there. You're terrible. Come on. Hey. You can sit. You can sit. You can sit. You can sit. Sitting. Sit down. Sit. Okay. Jeez. Okay. The show must go on. Hi, and welcome to the Uncreative Crafter. My name is Jen, and I'm your host. Today is Sunday, December 13th, 2015. I swear to God, Ozzy, if you chew on that, I will murder you. This is my third time recording the introduction. Ozymandias has started getting really snuggly. The weather is not super cold, but the temperatures have dropped. It's unseasonably warm here for December. Normally you'd be busting out, heavy winter gear, and yesterday was, I think, 50 degrees. So that's a thing. But Ozzy has gotten a lot more snuggly. So you'll have to bear with me. She is sitting on my lap, and we will see how this episode goes. So if you have never seen the podcast before, welcome. Thank you so much for checking me out today as I hang out with my little evil minion on my lap. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and checking me out. I don't think you can see the button jar in the shot today, so that is always a plus. Gosh, it's been a while since I did a regular episode. I meant to do one last week, and it was my husband's holiday party. And there was free food, and there was free booze, and so you can imagine how the weekend went. I didn't really feel up to recording, and that's actually probably a good thing, because it gave me more stuff to talk about today. Let's hop right on into things. If you are new to the podcast, or if it's been a while, this is primarily a fibercraft podcast, so I'm going to talk about, knitting, spinning, crochet, weaving, etc. If I ever did any of those other things on a regular basis, which I don't tend to, which is terrible, occasionally. And as Ozzy gets bigger and bigger and less naughty, or naughty in different ways, it may actually happen. We'll see. But anyway, talking about the things that you came here for me to talk about. So, first of all, let's talk about my 200 YouTube subscriber giveaway. And as my way of saying thank you, I was giving away a pattern generously donated by Jennifer Carey, who designed it. It's called the Brecken Wick Cowl. It's a $4 US Ravelry download, and it uses DK weight yarn. And for this one, I asked you to respond in my Ravelry group, the Uncreative Crafter podcast fans, and tell me if you were putting together a pattern, and this could be knitting or crochet, didn't really care. What two types of stitches would you use in this pattern, because that is what she does in her pattern. It uses two different types of stitches. So we had 12 entries, and let's find out who won. So we're going to do the stealing Siri thing, and we're going to see who she picks. Please pick a number between 2 and 13.
5.
Number 5 is the winner. Let's go find out who that is. And that just woke up Ozzy. So, and number 5 is Knit Live Love, who said that they liked cables and yarn overs. And I think that sounds like a really awesome pattern. So Knit Live Love, you have won the copy of the Brecken Wick Cowl. I'm going to go ahead and let Jennifer know so she can gift that to you. So congratulations, and thanks so much to everyone who entered the contest. Let's move right on over into stash, because there's a lot of stash today. It's pretty bad, actually. To be fair, it's like almost a month's worth of stash stuff, though, so we're just gonna go with it. Anyway, if you have been on Instagram within the past couple of weeks, you know about hashtag Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, which is not something I participated in last year, but I think I had heard about it. And basically what you do is you post a graphic, and they have one provided that everybody can use, though I did see some people using their own pictures. And the idea is that you grant someone's wish, and then you're able to post a wish of your own. Or at least that's the way I think it was supposed to go. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I really did want to participate. I saw a lot of people asking for beautiful things, but I'm like, well, what would I ask for, really? So I held off on granting any wishes until I could think of something. And a lot of them were being, snapped up really quick. And I was at work, so I couldn't really be refreshing Instagram every 5 seconds. Just doesn't really work. So it did go on. I think it was last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. I don't remember now. But I did eventually get to grant someone's wish. They wished for a pattern, and I'm like, I can do that. So it was awesome. I granted her a pattern that she wanted, and I posted my first wish, which I think was a little particular, and so it wasn't granted, and that's totally cool. I wanted to work with an indie dyer on a custom colorway, just for funsies. Like, I know that's something I can go to Etsy and message a dyer and do, but I don't know, it seemed more fun to do it this way. But I had some very specific things in mind. Someone actually did get in touch with me, but later let me know that she didn't have the dyes that I was looking for at that time, which was really sweet of her to even offer. And so I did end up posting another wish just because I'm greedy like that, I guess. And so I wished for a pattern, which seemed a little bit easier to grant. And so someone very kindly, and I'm not going to mention her name because I don't know if she knows that I podcast, but this is an Instagram user, so thank you so much to you. You know who you are if you are watching. And she granted me the Quist hat pattern. And this is a 3.9 euro. Okay, do you say like 390? How do you do that? 390 euro pattern, I guess. This shows you how cultured I am. I'm from America. Sorry. And it's about $4.40 US. And this is a Ravelry download, and it is by Melanie Berg. And it is a beautiful hat pattern. I've got some Malabrigo sock that I got a couple of years ago that is this beautiful purple color, and I've been trying to think really hard, what do I want to do with it? I don't want to make socks out of it because it's so pretty, and I'm not sure they'd stand up very well, to be honest. But anyway, so that was very generously and kindly donated to me, and so thank you so much. I think hashtag Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted is still going on, so it is worth checking out that hashtag to see if there are any wishes that you can grant yourself, which is very nice in this holiday season. Okay, apparently we've got sirens. That's cool. You probably can't hear them. Anyway, moving right along, let's talk about all of the yarn. The first one is one that I've talked a little bit about, but I didn't want to spoil it too much. But anyway, Rachel, who is Love Knots on Etsy, and she also hosts the Love Knots podcast. Rachel, please record again soon. I would love to watch your podcast. Very generously and kindly gifted me some fiber, which you saw, I think, a few weeks ago. It was a beautiful merino bat from Abby's Angora Art, I believe. And as my small way of saying thank you for this random act of kindness, I wanted to purchase something from her shop to support her. And if you've ever been to the Love Knots Etsy shop, she's got a lot of beautiful things, but sort of the thing that attracted me was the unicorn poop. And it is just a really beautiful yarn. It's on a sparkle base. It's dyed to order, so you do have to wait a little bit, but that's totally fine because it's super worth it. And I will say, Rachel was very upfront with me. She said, they sent me the wrong yarn base. I want to send it back and get the correct one. I just want to let you know. And I'm like, don't worry about it. It doesn't need to be sparkly. It's not a big deal. So I have special poop is how I've been putting it. And, she totally, again, it was totally fine with me. I'm not that picky. And, you know, it's really more about the colors than the sparkle, which is super fine. But anyway, let me see. I always just like to make sure that I don't have any personal information on business cards that you can't find on the internet. So this is her business card. How cute is that little baby? She also does custom like hats and stuff, and she makes those mermaid blankets, if you've seen those, where it looks like a mermaid's tail when you lay underneath it. And so let's look at the poop. And so as you can see, it is this beautiful gray base color, and then all of these just gorgeous rainbow colors in between. And I absolutely love my new iPad because this is coming out so well. So super excited. And so I did promise that I would say this on the air, even though I feel like a 3-year-old. But my friend Andrea and Andrea is of the Cat Lady podcast, but you probably knew that already. CATT for Craft All the Things. She also has some unicorn poop, and she was looking for ideas of things to knit with the unicorn poop. And I was looking through some patterns, and I said, why don't you do a hitchhiker? And then I thought, well, I really want to do a hitchhiker because I've not done one yet, and I think it would be really pretty in this yarn. And she goes, oh yeah, that's perfect. And then I said, well, I'm going to order some, so do you mind if I do it with you? You know, let's do a poop along. Yep. P.S. Brandy, this is for you. This is my bell mug. Sticking out the pinky. We're doing the poop along. And I know I've been calling it the hitchhiker along, but no, it's really the poop along. And it's a very, like, we're not really doing a real knit along. It's very informal. It's just going to be a couple of us who have the unicorn poop who want to do hitchhikers. And I've also just sort of extended it to say, you know, if you have unicorn poop and you don't want to make a hitchhiker, make something else out of it. And if you don't have unicorn poop but you want to knit a hitchhiker, let's do it. So it's got a couple of branches on it. It is informal. There are no prizes. There's not even really a deadline. It's something we're going to start for Winter Camp 2016, so probably sometime in January. But yeah, I think that yarn is going to make a fabulous hitchhiker. So I was very excited to get that from Rachel. Again, Love Knots on Etsy, and you should absolutely go check her out. And there is still time to grab some unicorn poop if you would like to join in the poop along. Okay, well, now that I feel like a super classy lady, let's move on. Like, if you do something nice for me, of course I want to thank you. And with people who are vendors, it's very easy to say, well, you are awesome for doing something for me. Let me buy something from your shop as a thank you. Like, I get beautiful yarn out of it. You get me talking about you. I feel like it's a win-win for everybody. So Rachel of Night Owl Fibers on Etsy was watching, I think, episode 21, where I was talking about my 1-year podiversary coming up, and where I sort of shamelessly asked for prize donations, just because I wanted to make this really special for everyone. And it is difficult to fund giveaways when you are not making any money from your podcasting. Let's be honest. And she is a total sweetheart. She is still in high school. She's a teenager. And she said, I would really like to send you yarn for a giveaway. So look in my shop and, you know, tell me what you like, or if you want, you know, we can talk about a custom colorway. And I'm like, you're amazing. I wasn't this nice as a teenager. Please just no, like, let me pick this yarn out of your shop and that will be fabulous. And let me say thank you by buying from your shop. So Rachel very kindly sent me 2 skeins of the same thing, and they were both packaged up very beautifully. And so one is going to be a prize package for you guys for my 1-year podiversary. And I will talk a little bit more about that on probably the first January episode, because that will be my 1-year podiversary. I still need to arrange prizes and make sure that I've confirmed with people who've said they were going to donate things. Because I don't want to tell you somebody's going to do something and then they're not able to. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So what I got is basically a copy of what you're going to get. And she dyes the most beautiful, beautiful stuff. And so we've got, come on, bye Ozzy. We've got, this is her 3-ply sport weight. It's actually a sock blend, which I think is really cool. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 100 grams, 328 yards in seagrass. And can you just see how stunning it is? Like, I don't knit a lot with a sport weight, but like, this is gorgeous, and it's a sock blend. So I think these are going to make some really beautiful, quicker than I normally knit them socks. And so let me find her business card, and she does have some personal info on here, so let's see if I can, I don't know, can I do that? I mean, I'm sure you could probably find her information on the internet anyway, but that is from Rachel. And Rachel was also super awesome, and I'm running out of places to put things on my desk here, and she sent along some goodies in my package, which means that you will get very similar, if not identical, goodies in your package as well. She sent along a couple of teas. One of them is a peach and one of them is a pumpkin spice. I'm very excited to try them. Normally I don't love peach, but I found that I actually kind of like it in tea, so that has been kind of neat. She also sent along 3 beautiful, I think these are all sport weight minis. And so we've got rosebuds and lavender. And isn't it just like most clever little way to put your minis up? I think that's so cute. And then we've got, which I personally love this one. This one is Pinkie Pie. This is also her sport weight. And that is coming off a little bit brighter pink than it really is. No, it's just going to come off as super bright pink. That's totally fine. Whatever. And then this is also her sport weight in Cool Breeze, and it came with a little pumpkin progress keeper. So, Rachel, for what I paid you, this is super generous, and I love it, and I really appreciate it. And people named Rachel on Etsy are just awesome people, apparently. So go buy some from some Rachels, because they are good people. And so, again, a very similar prize package will be for my 1-year podiversary. So, yay! That is staying in a bag on top of the hutch, so Ozzy doesn't get it because Ozzy has already tried to eat through one of the bags. So I think that one is mine. Anyway, so that's like the first quarter of the stash list. Let's just keep going. The next thing that I bought you can't see because you're going to see it in a few minutes, but I happened to be home for Thanksgiving week, and so I caught a Woolen Vine update. Normally I don't catch those because they're usually during the week, I want to say during normal business hours when I'm working. So while I do have one skein of Woolen Vine already, I happen to be home. She was doing her holiday update with her holiday colors. And so I got some Holly Jolly on her blitzed base. Holly Jolly is a colorway that I have been lusting after for at least a year. I want to say she did it in last year's update as well. And it's your very typical holiday / Christmas colors of white, green, and red. And then she's also thrown in this beautiful icy blue. And it's just stunning. And hopefully I will be able to post a picture here of what it looked like before I busted into it. But I have already started knitting with it, and so you will see the carnage that is that skein of yarn when we get to working on. It's not tea, it's water, but I promised Brandy I would drink out of a fancy mug. So, moving right along. I also went shopping with Claire of the New Hampshire Knits audio podcast, which you can find on iTunes. Like I said, I had Thanksgiving week off, and I've been trying to get together with her for a little while, and things just haven't really worked out, and we were able to get together one day and go shopping at a couple of different awesome little places. And so this is Claire's fault, I'm gonna say. Like, I knew that I wanted to get some of this stuff, but then it just sort of snowballed from there. So if you have been watching me for a while, or if you happen to have caught up on past episodes, I think it's the very first or maybe the second. It's within the first month of podcasting, I think. I talk about some socks that I had that I tried them on and there was a hole. And I don't know if I had dropped a stitch or if it tore or if it got caught on Velcro or what. And I have avoided fixing this hole for close to a year now. I got some really fabulous suggestions on how to fix it, and I've just been panicky. Like, we call me the Uncreative Crafter for a reason, guys, and partially it is because I'm afraid to do things that are outside of my comfort zone, like fix holes in socks. But anyway, I had heard, and we'll see how all this actually works, that you can needle felt a hole in your sock. So I am going to try that out. I haven't done it yet, again, just because I am terrified of doing it. But, so I did get some needle felting supplies. While I have needle felted before, I didn't actually own any of the supplies for it. And so I kind of took a little plunge. I figure if nothing else, being able to darn, not officially like darn, but, you know, fix holes and things will be good. And then I, in theory, can needle felt yarn ends together, as long as they're not superwash. But we will talk about that a little bit later as well. I believe the yarn that I used is Done Roving Frolicking Fibers. I'm pretty sure that is superwash. So we'll see using wool that's not superwash if that will work. But anyway, long story short, welcome to the podcast. I ramble. It's a thing I do. I got a needle felting thingy. And I'm kind of afraid to take the top off of this, and so I'm just not going to do it in the interest of not bleeding. But yeah, it has got 3 extremely sharp barbs, basically, and they've got little, you know, if you've never needle felted before, they've got little, like, indents and spots along the needle that I assume helps felt things together, technical terms. But anyway, so yeah, I did get a chance to try this last night, but again, we will talk about that in a little bit. So in addition to the needle felting pen, you have to get your needle felting foam so you don't stab yourself in the leg or ruin your table when you're doing it. So squishy, squishy, nothing too exciting about that, but I was able to support a local yarn store, which is always good. And we're just going to put things on my desk and see if we can't find them later. That's kind of how I roll. And I bought those a couple of weeks ago, and then I realized because I wasn't working on fixing the sock, I realized, you need some fiber to felt with. And while I do have spinning fiber, I don't really want to bust into that. And since I tend to ply from a center pole ball, I don't tend to have leftovers of fiber either. So I went back to the yarn store the other day and picked up some mini balls of roving. And this is Frabjous Fibers. And this is just a mini gumball pack, so it's sort of a, you know, mishmash of different colors. I don't really care about matching colors on my sock, so I just thought something fun and colorful, and it was, you know, the price was right, so we went with it. So that is all of my felting stuff. Let's move back to when I was shopping with Claire, though, because now I'm time traveling, and that's not confusing for you because you don't know about it, but it's confusing for me. Anyway, I also, when I went shopping with Claire, bought some yarn because Jennifer Carey, who designed the Breckenwick, also generously gifted me a copy of the pattern as a thank you for doing the giveaway. And I don't tend to have much DK weight yarn. I don't tend to have, it's either fingering or worsted, honestly, for the most part. And so I wanted to find some yarn to make the cowl with. But I was able to find, and I love this because apparently I am just really good at finding discontinued yarns, and yarn shops are sometimes great places to find discontinued yarns. I got 2 skeins of Rowan Pure Life British Sheep Breeds DK undyed, and I got the grey Suffolk colorway, so that is actually a fairly accurate representation. So it is 2 different colors of, I guess, sheep spun together. And it's sort of a loosely plied, beautiful, natural yarn, and I'm very excited to finally cast that on. I thought it would have been cast on by now, but we're going to get into that later too, as we do. And so I'm very excited to try that out. And it's always a steal to find something like that. And I'm hoping I don't love it too much, though, because it's discontinued. So we'll see. One of the ladies in my local spinning group has Angora bunnies. And I have been actually looking for straight up Angora fiber to play with. I think it will work really well on my supported spindle. Once I finish what I'm spinning on that, maybe that'll take a while. But anyway, it is 1 ounce of 100% Angora. It's got all the information on the rabbit on it, etc. And it is from Bit O' Heaven Fiber Farm in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. And so it's even got a picture of the bunny on it. And I wish that you could just touch this. The color is maybe a little bit more green than this is showing up. Again, it's in the bag. I do apologize for the glare. I'm just going to stick my finger in there, though, because it feels really good. Yeah, that feels really nice. I can't wait to start spinning with that. That's just going to be a lot of fun. So, and then I went back to the yarn store yesterday. I was looking for the felting fiber. I knew I wanted that. And then apparently, like, I've lived here now for over a year. It's not the first time I've gone into the yarn store. But I never hang out. Okay, so there's like a front room, which is like the entryway, and there's yarn in there, and then there's the main area, which is the back area. And there is yarn in the front area, and to one side it's local New Hampshire yarn. And I never ever really looked at the other side, apparently, because that's the sale section. Why? It's probably for the best that I didn't know about that section, but that's okay. I was actually really well behaved. I only got one skein of yarn from the sales section. And this is some Nashua Hand Knits Best Foot Forward in the colorway 7330. This is another discontinued yarn, and it was about a third off. So I only paid, 2/3 price, what it was marked up at. And so I'm like, yeah, that's a good deal. I'll buy it, I'll try it. And so it is one of those yarns that's going to, have that wacky little fake Fair Isle look to it. Colors are maybe a little bit more muted than this is showing because my screen is blowing it out because it does that. That's okay. But anyway, it called to me. The price was right. I went with it. I don't feel that guilty about it. I also don't feel guilty about the next thing. This was also in the front of the room. I think more so you would go, ooh, look at this new shiny pretty thing, which totally worked on me because I'm a sucker. But anyway, I have read about this online. I'd never actually seen one in person. And I fell hook, line, and sinker. It is the Noro Rainbow Roll. Anyway, Noro Rainbow Roll. Is this not just like gorgeous? It's color 1019. It is 100 grams of 100% wool. It's unspun. And so you actually have a couple of different options of things you can do with this. You can either use it as pencil roving and spin it yourself, or you can actually work with it. I've not used unspun roving to knit with before, but I actually do have a wheel of another unspun yarn. It's an unspun Icelandic that I got as a gift from my old local yarn store back in Vermont. And yeah, I didn't really know what to do with it, and I'm still not really sure what to do with it, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this either, because it's not like Ozzy will let me spin ever. But it was pretty. I was at the yarn store, and I wanted it, and it was a rainbow. So I bought it. Okay, so I think that's officially it for stash. Yeah. Let's rearrange the desk a little bit. And we will move into working on, which is thankfully going to be a very short category today. The first thing that got some love since the last time you saw it is my sock yarn mitered square blanket, which is the Knitted Patchwork Recipe by Martine Ellis. It is a free Ravel re-download. And yeah, so last time you saw it, I had finished my Mandy Minis, And I was working on my Jessica of the Sarah Nova Crafts video podcast, which you can find on YouTube. I was working on her minis. And I finished Jessica's minis, and I am now working on Sue's minis. Sue of the Two Tangled Skeins video podcast on YouTube, and also of the Tangled Skein CA on Etsy. So, the last time, anything that has a stitch marker on it is new, so we've got like 8-ish, and then these two little ones up here. So, the ones on the edges are mine, so like, that's mine. Jessica, 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 Jessica. That one's mine, and this one is Sue. So I'm just very barely into my Sue minis here. And I'm not going to run out of minis anytime soon. This is kind of on the back burner, though, because I bought, like I said, my Vine Holly Jolly. And it got here, and I was working on some other socks, but I finished them, and I'm doing this super out of order, actually. I don't normally do working on before I do finished objects. But whatever, we're going to go with it. So this is living in my purple yarn knit, which has been a very helpful friend. I will show you what the Holly Jolly looks like balled up. It doesn't look very pretty right now because Yarn Barf center pole ball. But anyway, you can see that icy blue that I was talking about, and you can definitely see the sparkle on this, which is really nice. There's going to be so much editing this week. And I've been calling these the Holly Jolly socks. I think I'm going to call them the Holly Jolly Folly socks. Not that they're not beautiful, I've just been having so many problems. So anyway, here is what the sock currently looks like. You can see I've done the heel, I've done toe up, obviously, and I've started the ribbing for the leg. So let's talk about these socks for a minute. This is beautiful yarn. I was very excited to cast it on. I wanted these to be done by Christmas. In the past, it usually takes me about 2 weeks to knit a pair of socks, give or take. I had the yarn, I had more than 2 weeks till Christmas. I'm like, I can totally do this. This is going to be awesome. Went with my normal 70 stitch count on my needles, going swimmingly. I had my plan of how many rows to do every day, was hitting my goals, and I tried it on. And I'd been trying it on, but this was sort of the first point where I knew that it was too big. And so I measured my gauge because I was curious. I was getting about 8.5 stitches per inch for stitch gauge. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really make any sense because I normally get 8 stitches per inch on my zeros. And so it should be smaller than my usual socks. Like, what's going on here? This is weird. So I went over and I measured the last pair of socks that I had been working on. And I was not getting 8 stitches per inch on those. I was getting 9. So that explains why 70 stitches on 8.5 were actually bigger, because that's a bigger stitch gauge than what I was normally getting. Now here's the thing, right? Like, I mathed. Like, I did the math to get 70 stitches based on an 8 stitch per inch count. So it's still working even though now it's 9 stitches per inch? Or did I write it down wrong? I don't know what I did. I really don't know. But I had to rip these out and start all over again and math a little bit. So I just took out 4 stitches because I mathed and I figured out it was about a ½ inch bigger than where I wanted it to be. I probably could have gone down to 64, but I'm not going to stress about it. I stressed about it enough already. So yeah, I had to rip out and start over again. And since I didn't leave myself a ton of time before Christmas to get these done, like, that was worrisome. But okay, whatever, we're moving along swimmingly. I put in my waste yarn and I try for the first time the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which is a $1 Ravelry download. Totally worth it. There's a lot of information in there. It's a little bit information overload for me, honestly. I did the cardboard foot cutout. I still don't quite agree with where the ankle hinge line is, blah, 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 etc. Whatever, things you don't want to know. But I did successfully complete my first Fish Lips Kiss heel. She says that she named this heel because it kind of puckers in there, and so it kind of looks like like that. That's probably going to be the screenshot YouTube chooses, is me sucking it in my face, but whatever. And so I did complete my first Fish Lips Kiss heel. I did decrease down to 32 stitches for the heel just to make things easier. And I don't totally love the heel. Normally, I knit my heels on size 00s because it is knit flat. And so my gauge is a little bit bigger and smushier, and I'm afraid it's going to wear out faster. And I knew that about heels. Like, I know that I knit them on 00s, and I was just lazy, and I didn't really want to go find my 00s. I wanted to knit the heel now. So I'm not personally happy with that, but, you know, it's not the heel's fault. It's just my fault. So we'll see how well this goes. These are probably really just going to be more special occasion socks. Wear them in the winter, around the holiday times. So we'll see. But anyway, I was happy to have finished the heel yesterday. I got into just a little bit of the leg that I like to do in plain stockinette before I do all of my ribbing. And I don't even know how this happened. Like, the yarn's been in my Yarn-It, but I'm experiencing yarn barf, and so I've been pulling out really long sections at a time to deal with, because it's easier to just have that ready for me instead of having to pull and untangle yarn. My center pull balls are just awful, apparently. And I hear Ozzy, little Miss Kitten, knocking against the Yarn-It, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I see the yarn has been pulled off the table and towards the floor. So I picked it up and, you know, it seemed fine. Then I put the yarn next to me on the couch so she couldn't get at it, and I go to knit with it, and she has chewed through my yarn. No cats were harmed, but there were thoughts of harming cats. She didn't chew on the sock, so that's good. She didn't chew on the skein. She just chewed a hole in one spot. But I was so mad at her. Oh, I know she's a kitten. I know she's playing. I know she likes chewing on things, but you can't chew on the yarn. I was like, oh, don't do that. So, anyway, that was lots of fun. So I busted out my needle felting foam and my needle felting needle thing and tried needle felting the edges together, and it super washed. So there may have been a way to make it work, but I couldn't make it work, and I'm like, I'm on a deadline. Screw it. So I did a rush and join. In hindsight, I probably should have just tied a knot and woven in the ends, but I didn't really want to deal with weaving in extra ends. So I did do a little rush and join. It actually worked out pretty well. I don't think you would know where it was unless I told you. And the only thing that I got to deal with is I got to cut little. So like that's one end that's sticking out of the yarn, and that's the other end. And so it's like right here. You can kind of see a little bit. There's a little bit of green in the white there. But otherwise it's relatively, you know, you can't tell. And it's on the front of the foot, which is good because it's not going to get a lot of abrasion and wear on the front of the foot. So, holly jolly folly indeed. That may be the episode title. We shall see. Anyway, those are the only things. I'm caught up in my headphones. Just can't do anything right today. That's cool. Yeah, so those are the only two things that I am working on. I do have a couple of finished objects. One of them I don't have because I've already given it to my coworker, and this would be her glacier. No. Good Lord, I can't talk today. Okay. This would be her worm-like hat, which you saw in the last episode. This is the bulky hat that was based on the worm pattern by Katarina Knopf, which is a free Ravelry download. I sort of adjusted it to work for a super bulky yarn. She liked the yarn, she picked it out, she bought it, she bought me lunch. She appreciates hand knits. It seems like a fair deal, honestly. So we went with it. So yeah, I finished it up a couple of weeks ago and handed it off to her. She loved it, so I'm going to insert a picture of it here. not of anybody wearing it. I don't look good in that kind of hat. I had worn my worm to work, decided it wasn't for me. She really liked it, but she has wool sensitivities, otherwise I would have given it to her. And so she asked if I would make her one something similar, and I'm like, super bulky, it'll take me 5 minutes. Cool. Took me longer than 5 minutes because I had to math. But once I got things figured out, it went really quickly, and she loves it, which is great, and it was a very tasty lunch that I got in exchange. And the other thing that I finished, and I know I'm going to get a couple of people saying, Jen, it's not finished, are my Knit Picks Glacier socks. So my husband has picked for my brown bag sock along Knit Picks yarn, and specifically Knit Picks Felici, 3 sock pairs in a row. And so I probably should have figured with my Volan Vine that there may be a gauge change. But, you know, pride, I has it. And it cometh before a fall, I believe is the saying. So, this is living in my Stitched by Jessa Lou TARDIS bag. I haven't woven in the ends because I had some other Christmas socks to start. I got plenty of time to weave in the ends. I will do it by the end of December. But some people make fun of me because I don't really consider an object done until you've woven in the ends. But we're going to say it's done anyway because it's my podcast. I like am not prepared today. But anyway, just sort of my typical, I know my stitch count for Knit Picks anyway. Yeah. And actually, ooh, okay, yeah, no, the screen is not doing this justice. Gotta, you know, weave in the ends and deal with the afterthought heel and stuff. This is Knit Picks that I bought not last Christmas for their sale, but I think there was a sale during the summer, so I picked up a couple of extra colors, and I thought this looked really pretty. Oh god, it's getting really blown out. I'm not super pleased with this colorway, and this just may be my own fault, but you'll see there are 3 really distinct colors. We've got this like greeny, we've got the dark blue, and we've got the medium blue. And we've got this really pale blue, and then these 2 colors I think are just not distinctive at all. They are, I believe, supposed to be different colors. But really, when it's on the foot, this whole section kind of gets eaten up a little bit. And so I've learned my lesson, at least with this one. It just wasn't what I was personally looking for in a self-striping. With, you know, stripes like that, I'm looking for more distinction in between. And so if they had put, you know, like one in between here and one in between there and then had one up here, that probably would have been fine. But really, it just looks like a big pale splotch on my leg. We've got a little gift section this week. I got a fun package in the mail from Sue and Lynn of the Two Tangled Skeins podcast. And I knew this was coming, but I didn't know everything that was in it. So what I knew was coming were the minis. They have been collecting super duper tiny minis for me. And so that's been very kind of them. They know that I use tiny minis, and they're like, you know, hopefully you can use all of these. And I'm like, I will find a way to use these. So it all works out really well. And so I'm not going to take them out of the bag. But, you know, and, like, they even skeined them all up. Like, you don't have to do that. My minis are, like, 2 grams and under. Just put them in a little ball. That's totally fine. But anyway, just this, you know, great bag of a bunch of different minis. And then I got a tea. I love tea. Woo. There we go. Chamomile. Which is always nice. I knew these were coming. Lynn has, I think, a full set of the carbons now. And she knows that I use super tiny needles, and so she sent me, oh my god, look at it's getting dark out, and so the screen is just right on me. So she sent me some carbons in US size 0s, and these are gonna be 2.0 millimeters. And so these are sort of like my backup. So I probably could have done the Volan Vine on this, and it probably would have worked out well, because maybe my gauge would have not been a 1/2 inch in the middle, 1/2 stitch per inch in the middle. But yeah, so love to have these. Thank you very much. And then Sue, who has that Tangled Skein CA Etsy shop. This is Sue from the Two Tangled Skeins. This is her business card with her information on it. Sent me one of her little Japanese knot bags. This is her wee knot bag, and if you've not seen these are just neat. Like, I love box bags. I'm gonna be honest with you. Before podcasting, most of my projects lived in like plastic bags, or you go to the store and you get like a little gift bag and it comes in a paper bag, and like I would just put stuff in there. And people are like, girl, you can't do that anymore. Like, bags are awesome. So I do love box bags, but can we talk about how many times I've gotten stuff stuck in the zippers? And so I have recently been introduced to the wonderful world of like paracord drawstring bags and knot bags. And so this is the concept of the knot bag. There's no closure, there's no zipper to get stuck. You fold the bigger end through the smaller end here, and you slip it on your wrist. And you can just feed the yarn up through one of the holes, and you're good. You got it on your wrist. I will say I feel really smart because she sent this to me just to be nice. She's not asking for like a review or anything like that, but I'm gonna give you one anyway. I work with the yarn in my right hand, but I tend to put the knot bag on my left. And so in the beginning, it wasn't working out so well for me. And I'm like, why? You know what? Obviously there's plenty of room. Like, why am I not loving this experience? Duh, it's because I wear a gigantic watch on my hand. And so of course it's going to get caught and not really slide on there the way you want it to. So once I started putting it on my right hand, things worked perfectly. That is user error. That has nothing to do with the bag. But anyway, this is actually the inside of my Stitched by Jessalou TARDIS bag. And so she knew that I love the fabric, and so she sent me a bag just to be sweet. It's got this beautiful blue interior. It's kind of, it's tough to see, but it's got variation to it. And then this is one of the things I love, right? I don't make bags. I don't sew. I imagine that you have to run a fine line in between using your fabric effectively and also matching things up. And I imagine these two things don't go together. So like, it's easy to just put two pieces of fabric together and sew them up, and who cares what the seams look like. It took me a little while to realize this, but like, look at how well she lined up the planet. Like, that's the nerd in me getting excited, because I'm like, oh my god, look at, she got the rings matched up really, really well, and like, she didn't have to do that, but she did, which is really, really neat. So I'm very excited for my little knot bag. It fits for me personally. When I was working on my Felici socks, it fit, you know, the 50-gram ball of sock yarn, it fit the sock, it fit the gigantic cable that I had for Magic Loop, and it also fit a my knit kit, which is my biggie, actually. You know, it's this big. It's got my counter on it. Stuck that in there, and there was still room. And she says that she fits usually 100-gram ball of sock yarn in hers. Mine is just currently in my yarn it because it's gigantic, and as I'm working on the next sock, I'll probably move it into my knot size bag. My wee size knot bag. Cannot talk. I wish this wasn't water. But it is. Anyway, so Sue was super awesome, and actually I'm excited to tell you that Sue is going to be one of the other, well, I mean, they're going to be more than two prizes, but Sue has actually also offered to do a bag and stitch markers for my 1-year giveaway as well. So I just need to double check with her on the size of that, but it's something that she's going to tailor for you, so it's not like you're going to pick something out of her shop. Like, she'll work with you for fabrics and colors, and like the stitch markers come in different colors and whatnot, and they are fabulous stitch markers also. They came in really handy on my Fish Lips Kiss Heel yesterday because they're, you know, the little round with the beads. And I'm not going to pull them out because we're going on long enough already. But they were awesome to have in a pinch. And yeah, always excited to use those. So you are going to get, if you win, one of her bags and a set of stitch markers. So thank you so much, Sue. And just because the people that I know are just so generous, it completely astounds me. Sue has actually offered a coupon code. And I'm so excited because this is my first coupon code, which is awesome. I love coupon codes. I use coupon codes. I have purchased things with coupon codes, so people do like them. I love them. And so, because I am one of the winter camp cabin leaders, Sue has offered for the duration of winter camp, and actually starting now, so you can use this code now. You don't have to wait until January 1st. So the code CREATIVE15, so creative, all in uppercase letters, and the numbers 15, is going to get you 15% off a purchase of $10 or more in her Etsy shop. This is running through now to the end of winter camp, which is March 31st, 2016. So not only is it a really easy coupon code, like, to apply, like, you will find it easy to spend $10 in her shop. It's also a very long coupon code. So even if it's not something you're sure about right now, or if you're waiting to get some holiday money, or see what you get for the holidays, you've got plenty of time to take a look and see what she's got in there. And I know that not everything that she has is listed in her shop, so if you are interested in making a purchase and you're not seeing anything that's quite what you're looking for, go ahead and send her a message, and I'm sure she would be happy to work with you. And so if you have not checked out the Tangled Skein CA on Etsy, please do so, and consider treating yourself or maybe passing along a link to somebody with a coupon code so they can treat you, because she's awesome. So Sue, thank you so much for your generosity. Lynn, you rock too, but you don't have an Etsy shop, so... All right, we're getting close to the end here, kinda. I'm just gonna throw this out there. This isn't even in the segment because I don't really have one for it anymore. But I hosted my first VKN last Friday. So Andrea of the Cat Lady podcast has been doing VKNs twice a month on Fridays, and she wasn't able to do the one this most recent Friday. She had other plans, and so I said, hey, do you want me to be your backup? Like, I'm usually at home on a Friday night anyway, so why not? And so I'm sort of her backup / co-host. I hesitate to use the word co-host. I prefer the term backup, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I was there to start the VKN. I got a couple of people who I don't normally get to see in VKNs, who normally come to Andrea's, which was really great. And it was nice, and it was not a total bust, which was awesome. So if you don't know what a VKN is, it's a virtual or video knit night. I've seen, both. We do ours on Google Hangouts, so I do believe you need a Google account to join. And then the only other thing you really need is a microphone. If you have a webcam, we can see you, but you certainly don't have to. Microphone so we can hear you. And I prefer headphones just because it helps cut down on echo for everybody, but they're not required, at least not for the VCAN that I do. And so, usually Andrea posts up about 7:30 if Eastern. If I'm in charge, I usually do it around 7 because I'm home anyway and I don't have children. But anyway, keep your eyes peeled. I've now opened up a thread in my Ravelry group, and you can check it out there and see when the next one is. I'll post hers as well as if I'm, the main host that night. So we'll see. Yeah, a little bit more. I've got one thing for extra credit. The holiday socks have really sucked the life out of everything else that I'm doing. And then with winter camp starting up in January, I have a feeling I'm not going to spend any attention on the things that I've been spending not a lot of attention on anyway. So please don't expect to see much in the way of spinning or weaving or cross-stitching. But for right now, there is a little bit of cross-stitch. We visited my husband's family for Thanksgiving. And they have a Michael's near where they live, which is awesome. and they had Black Friday sales. So that was like one of the 2 places I went on Black Friday because I hate shopping. But anyway, I wanted to get one of these snap frames, and they had a good sale, and it all worked out. Anyway, I started my second cross-stitch project. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this already. Obviously, it doesn't look like much right now. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but yeah, this was on sale at Joann's, and it's burlap, and the back of it is fraying like nobody's business. Probably shouldn't have even touched it, but yeah. So please don't expect to see this again anytime soon, but I did work on it a little bit. That's all that I have for extra credit because I'm a bum. A little bit of on the edge because nothing exciting has been going on in my life lately. I taught my mom how to FaceTime. My mom has not had a smartphone ever before, and she recently got an iPhone, so I've been bugging her to try and get her to FaceTime for a long time now, and finally did, and I think she loves it, and I think she's hooked. Because I don't know that she's ever even video chatted before. But, you know, I got to show her where I live, and she got to see my cats, and then, you know, talk to me. She got to see my face, and I gave her, you know, my worm hat, so I got to see her wearing my worm hat, which was nice. And so hopefully we'll get to do that again soon, and I didn't have to drag her completely kicking and screaming into the 21st century. And then the last thing, and I talked about this a little bit on Facebook, but you're probably not my Facebook friend, so you probably didn't see it. But I recently watched a documentary that I found really interesting, and I'm going to throw it out there in case you guys want to watch it as well. I found this on Netflix, on streaming, so it was available on US streaming, and hopefully it's available on yours if you're not in the United States. But this documentary is called Bert's Buzz, and it's not super long. And essentially, it's about Bert, the man behind Burt's Bees. If you've never heard of Burt's Bees, it is, well, it's now a company that I think is owned by Clorox or some big company. But it does, you know, naturally type. I love their lip balm. They do a rescue remedy type cream that I'm going to have to put on this cat scratch from Ozzy. Soaps, stuff like that, and you can usually find it in any Walmart or grocery store. There's usually some kind of Burt's Bees set up, and it's got, you know, the big yellow beehive on it usually, and Bert's face. And I don't actually have anything Burt's Bees over here, do I? So I can't show you, but anyway, I am like a lip balm junkie, and Burt's Bees is like my main go-to lip balm. And so I'd had this queued for a little while, and I finally got around to watching it one weekend when my husband was out, and it was really fascinating. Now, if you are looking for a documentary about the history of the company, that's not what you're going to get. And I know that is a criticism that some people had for the documentary, because it did go from like a small, independently owned business to being eaten up basically by big business, but you're not going to get that documentary. This is a documentary about Bert. This is the story of the man who started it all, and what he's like. Now, he did die this year, I think, and so obviously they did this shortly before he died, but I just found it to be really fascinating, because they talk about what things were like when he was starting the company. They talk a little bit about the issues he had with his business partner, but he was actually still tied to the company, doing promotional stuff. And so it's just very interesting, though, learning about the kind of man Bert was and what he was still doing with the company. And they're completely at odds with each other. And I don't, you know, it's not really spoiling it, but I don't want to talk too much about it, because I think that it's a very interesting watch if you know what you're getting into and you don't have expectations of what it's going to be, that you're going to be mad if they don't get fulfilled. But I found it really interesting. I went to an environmental liberal arts college in Vermont. I lived in Vermont for 10 years. I now live in a state where we don't recycle, like we don't have a bottle return, which I've always lived in states that had bottle return. I like to recycle, you know, stuff like that. And so learning more about the man and his views on life was really interesting to me. And I hope that you consider giving it a try if you'd like to learn about a perspective on things that you probably don't have. It's a very interesting documentary, and I hope you check it out. Anyway, I have rambled long enough. Speaking of lip balm, I need to go put some on. I have talked so much that my lips are like super chapped. And I'm so thirsty. Thank goodness this isn't tea because it would be cold by now. And, oh my god, I've been recording for over an hour. Holy crap. Okay, so we're going to cut it there. Guys, everyone, thank you so much for checking me out today. I appreciate you sticking with the crazy, the Aussie, the nutso lighting. Apparently my face is just red today. I just can't wear this shirt. Every time I wear this shirt, I look orange, so that's just not going to happen anymore. But anyway, I will see you guys hopefully in a couple of weeks right after Christmas. Fingers crossed that I get back to a regular recording schedule. And I will definitely see you in the new year for winter camp. So I will leave you guys with this. It gets done one stitch at a time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you have a good couple of weeks. Bye.